Who wants to be the next Italian Wine Ambassador? Join an exclusive network of 400 Italian wine ambassadors across 48 countries. Vinitaly International Academy is coming to Chicago on October 19th to 21st, and to Almaty, Kazakhstan from November 16th to 18th. Don't miss out. Register now at vinitaly.com.
Welcome to the Italian Grape Geek podcast. Join us as we explore personal stories of travel and tasting with Italy's must-know grape varietals. Chart your own course with My Italian Grape Geek Journal, your personal tasting companion to accompany the series. Available now on Amazon. With thanks to Colangelo and Partners for their generous support with this project.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Depends on where you are and what time you are listening to the podcast. My name is Davy Leung, Italian Wine Ambassador and Certified Wine Educator in Hong Kong Wine Academy. So people call me Daytime Corporate Finance Specialist and Nighttime Wine Educator in Hong Kong. I travel Italy for all the local indigenous grape varieties and also around the world to seek for the same varieties and find out how these gems perform outside their Italian. Since then, I fell in love with all the Italian wines because there is no other world could offer the complexity and varieties to my wine drinking map. So I'm going to introduce 3 grapes today. The first grape is called Fumin. Some background about the Fumin grape. The grape is planted exclusively in the central valley of Aosta Valley, and the name is derived from the root word fumo, or smoke, thanks to the generous dusty bloom on the mature grape berries and perhaps the smoke flavors it demonstrates with age. It was in decline because in the Val d'Aosta Valley, the sunshine can easily cause sunburn and requires very careful canopy management. It is usually a very good blending partner that gives color and body to its friend Petit Rouge. And not until 30 years ago, or since 1990, a few wineries has decided to vinify it into a single varietal with great success. With help of the climate change, Fumin is getting better phenolic ripeness. Some key information about the grape. Fumin is a late maturing variety that is harvested around late October to beginning November. It requires a very good sunshine exposure, and that's why you will find a lot of the Fumin in the steep inclination and a southwestern exposure to get maximum sunlight. In the vineyard, it is quite suitable to the alpine climate because it is quite resilient and disease resistant. Late budding and early ripening. Suitable in the winter temperatures and dry climates of the alpine condition. Compact cylindrical small medium bunches and small medium berries. Nowadays, Gaglioppo training is more preferred than the low pergola training method. Soil type range from the glacial moraine to alluvial gravel and sand with some pockets of schist and limestone. This grape also likes steep slopes of up to 70%, with dry stone terraces at 600 to 650 meters above the sea level. In the glass, it is usually deep ruby color with a slight purple tinge. It can be quite complex and intense flavor of ripe dry red fruits, smokiness, spiciness, black pepper, licorice, vanilla, soft leather, clove, graphite, and alpine flowers, or sometimes we like the Italian terms called balsamic. In the glass, it is likely to be very high acid, moderate to high tannin level when it is well extracted, and large format barrels to polish the tannins and stabilize the acidity. Have I tried the wines with this grape? Yes, of course. I've tried 100% Fumin in a tasting back in 2021 with a bunch of wine friends, and we all loved how Fumin is expressing its prettiness and elegance at the same time displaying the alpine flowers and pure fresh fruit of the mountain, all happening in the glass. I really like it. I'm always keen to try the varieties at very high elevations because you can associate the aromas and flavors grown without any pollution. Fruit purity and clarity is what interested me the most, and it always displays perfume and spicy quality in the wine. Is this wine available in my market? Yes and no. Fumin is available in a few Italian wine geeks supplier in Hong Kong. However, I found it very difficult to find a few bottles in my hometown back in Melbourne. If you know who is selling some bottles in Melbourne, please let me know. Any benchmark producers that is worth trying? Yes, I will suggest Lacrates, who ferment some of their Fumins with dry grapes for the smoother and creamier wine. Grosjean and Elio Octane, they are the 3 producers that I would highly recommend. If you ask me what is the food pairing recommendation for these grape varieties, that is a very good question. So I love to pair this wine with the typical spicy salami of the region. If you ask me the same question in Hong Kong, I would say duck or goose, made in brine marinade, and that is made of Sichuan peppers, star anise, and other vegetables to cook with. The slight perfume and spiciness of the wine will bring out all the aromatics and elegance of the marination to a very precise balance level. If we are in Australia, I will recommend the local soft cheese or the Aussie version of a carbonade, which is the rich, dry, salted beef stew, which is very delicious. So the second grape that I am going to share is called Gaglioppo. So Gaglioppo, the principal red grapes of Calabria and the base of its best-known DOC wine is called Ciro, which was established since 1969. Its name is derived from the Greek word meaning beautiful food. Yes, beautiful food about human. And in fact, ripe grape bunches of Gaglioppo are very florid, plump, and very appealing. It's very beautiful. If you like take some picture, you will find that it look like beautiful food. It is also one of Italy's oldest grape varieties. A wine that retained was made with Gaglioppo called Cremisa, was a reward for winners of the Olympic Games. And Cremisa took its name from Cremisa, the ancient name for the city of Ciro, one of the three important Greek cities in what is now Calabria, and famous in antique for a temple devoted to wine. Recent DNA studies have clarified that Gaglioppo is a natural crossing of Sangiovese and Montalcino, and the later is a very typical grape of Calabria. So some key information about the grape. The grape has a very light color pulp, and although the skin are very thick and compact bunches and are also very susceptible to powdery mildew and peronospora. It has unstable anthocyanins, and therefore breaking in color is very common. For a grape with character like this, and in such a warm climate, some of the producers are harvesting the grape a little bit earlier to maintain acidity. If you want to get a very good extraction of the grape, it is very difficult for the color and the structure. Else, you may need a very long maceration and temperature control facilities, which means higher cost and labor for a well-structured wine. But there are some wines which is very highly structured on the market. On the palate, it is always dry. Color can range from pale to medium ruby at youth, and showcasing a lot of wild berries, raspberries, red currants, earthiness, roses, cinnamon, clove, and due to its low tannin character, it is quite prone to oxidation if not handled with care. However, it performs best in the dry and drought condition on clay limestone and sandy clay soil, which is quite typical in the Calabria region. This proves why Gaglioppo is growing happily in Calabria. So my personal connection to the grape, it is a very long story. So when I did my first Italian wine maestro courses education back 4 years ago, I remember I wanted to find a picture of a beautiful fruit on the internet for the PowerPoint slides. And I found a picture of a beautiful fruit without any trademark or without any copyright. It's super hard to get. It's super hard to get. I almost spent 2 hours searching on the internet for the best photo. So after 2 hours, I found a very good picture. So maybe some of my students who listen to the podcast may know the picture that I found was really, really beautiful. So after I found the picture, my wife knocked the door and saw my screen with a beautiful food, and she asked me, "What are you doing?" So I laughed and I burst into tears, and luckily I showed her this picture was used for PowerPoint and education for my Calabria classes, and there was a very funny story. So did I try any wines with this grape? Of course. A producer is very famous after the comic called The Drop of Gods, and some importers in Hong Kong has brought in some nice labels for the tasting in a tasting event. I quite like the finesse and the structure of the wines, which shows that indigenous varieties can reach to such a high level of finesse. And of course, the price is very reasonable price. The wines has got structure, has got a lot of good flavors, good concentration. Everything is in finesse. Everything is in precise balance. I quite like the wine. So what interested me the most when learning about the grape? The beautiful food story about the internet picture and my wife knocked the door. Our wines made from this grape readily available in my market. Of course, you've got to find the right person, or you could ask your Italian Wine Ambassador friend where you could get hold of some bottles. They are not quite widely available, but you've got to ask someone, the right person. Any benchmark producers that is worth trying. Yep, the Brandy Ciro Rosso Classico Superiore Riserva. The wine is called Duca San Felice 2020. So this is the wine that I've tried and also available in my market. About the food pairing recommendation for these grape varieties, I will suggest Cantonese food. Pan-fried meatloaf in Cantonese is Guangdong Jinyobang because the savoriness and the slight saltiness of the salty fish. The Cantonese salty fish is the Asian version of the anchovy, but in a drier version. That brings out the sweetness of the meat. And if you pair with the wine, everything will be in precise balance. It's very delicious. So the next grape is Cococciola. So when we stay in Abruzzo, people would thought about Montepulciano and Trebbiano, the two most famous DOCG wines in the region. However, in a super exciting Italian wine production, there are always some little known wines produced from native varieties with real success. Here you go, Cococciola. This grape is a fascinating and versatile white wine grape varieties from the Abruzzo region of Italy. This rare grape demonstrates a character reminiscent of the great white wine grapes, making it suitable not only for still wine but also for sparkling wine production. The origin of the name Cococciola is rather uncertain, but there are several intriguing hypotheses. One suggests it derived from the Abruzzese dialect word cicoci, meaning pumpkins, due to the distinctive look on the grape that resemble those of a certain vegetables. Another hypothesis linked the name to the coccia, or fake peel, of the grape itself. It is quite fair to speculate that the not too distant future, the viticulture of Abruzzo may increasingly embrace the production of Cococciola. This excellent wine captivates the palate with its remarkable flavor profile and its adaptability to various winemaking styles, suggesting it could become a more prominent feature of the region's celebrated wine heritage. So some background information about the grape. The grape has a storied history in the Abruzzo region, but until recently, its potential was largely overlooked. Traditionally, this ancient wine was used primarily as a blending component for Trebbiano d'Abruzzo. Its high natural acidity served to boost the lighter Trebbiano in terms of structure and also the wine. However, a new generation of passionate winemakers has rediscovered the inherent charm of Cococciola. Through careful cultivation and innovative vinification techniques, they have unlocked the grape's exceptional organoleptic and chemical physical qualities. Cococciola can shine on its own right, celebrated for its robust character, generous alcohol content, and also vibrant acidity. These surprisingly productive varieties is distinguished by its large, thick-skinned berries that develop striking brown stripes when they reach their peak ripeness. The Abruzzo pergola training system, which is a traditional high-yielding method, helps to coax the best from its versatile grapes. The results are wines of remarkable typicity, bold, distinctive expression that bears the unique quality of Cococciola. The regulation says Cococciola must account for 85% of the grape blend in still wines and 60% in sparkling wine. So my personal connection to the grape, that was happening 3 years ago when I was traveling in Italy. I went to a restaurant in Florence, and I was so eager to try the local, lesser-known wine grapes to pair with seafood. So I asked the sommelier to recommend something, and I counter-proposed. I want something that is quite obscure and it's not selling every day. So the sommelier was so surprised by my request. But I relished the opportunity to discover a unique regional specialty. As an adventurous wine enthusiast like me, I find a great satisfaction in exploring obscure varieties that may not be available widely. During that evening, the wine proved to be a very delightful component to the meal, expanding my palate and reinforcing my passion for seeking out distinctive off-the-beaten-path wine experience. What interested me the most when learning about the grape? The most intriguing aspect of this rare local grape was learning about its deep roots in the region's winemaking history and culture, exploring the grape's unique characters and how they have been shaped by the terroir, and was a fascinating journey of discovery as a wine enthusiast. The wine is hard to find, and making it a choice for true wine geeks and highly involved consumers like me. This wine are available in my market, Hong Kong, and also in Melbourne. This wine is quite rare, and with the only one or two labels physically available. My contacts in the wine import business have indicated that it is also struggled to gain tractions in overseas market like in the UK or also in USA. But for wine lovers like me, I don't mind to order online and then to send to Hong Kong and also send to Melbourne. I am hopeful that to improve the visibility of these grape varieties and also in the distribution of this uniquely regional wine that could allow more consumers to discover their delicious qualities. So any benchmark producers worth trying. I've got two on hand, Tenuta Ulisse and Cantina Tolo will be the two suggestions. So if you ask me what is a pairing, obviously you can tell I'm also a foodie. For these grape varieties, it has a very high acidity and provides an exceptionally refreshing profile that will pair wonderfully with very simple and light dishes that allows the wine's inherent flavors to shine. So don't try to match anything without too much of sauces or too salty. Think along the lines of briny shellfish like very simple oyster or other lightly prepared seafood. These type of pairings can rival the versatility of other internationally famous white wine style. The Cococciola vibrant acidity and pure character makes it a fantastic alternative to explore for wine lovers in search for novel and captivating food and wine harmonies. So try this grape. If you get a chance, buy a few bottles and store in a wine cellar. If you get a wine geeks like us or like me, make sure you open some other grape varieties that we can't find in our market. So thanks for listening. Ciao.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, chin chin.